That old familiar tune. Da, 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 da. Ah. It's the first leg of the Triple Crown coming up this weekend. I've never been to Churchill Downs. I've never covered horse racing per se. I worked in Vegas at Sports Talk Network, so we talk about the Triple Crown. But I do like horse racing. I will be watching the Derby coming up this weekend. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not up to speed when it comes to the horses this year and the jockeys and the trainers. I know Bob Baffert had been out for a while. He doesn't really have any horses that have any value this year. A couple long shots. I always look at the trainers, but I need to find out more. So do you. So let's get ready for the Kentucky Derby by talking to Daryl Wood. He's from the Virginia Equine Alliance, and he's our guest here on News Radio WRVA. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Rich.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me why. If somebody just walked in off a spaceship from Mars and they walked up to you and said, "Tell me why this Kentucky Derby is such a big deal," what would you say?
Well, I mean, I think it's the one day and the one race that anytime during the year that everybody seems to be a racing fan for those 2 minutes. And, you know, whether it be an experienced horse player, whether it be your next door neighbor that's never paid attention to sports, everyone seems to have a Derby party to attend or to watch it on TV. It's just a common interest everybody has. And when you get a 20 horse field, and this is the only race during the year you're going to see 20 horses, anything can happen. And I'll tell you, there's great value in the Derby. When you get a 20 horse field, the payouts are going to be better than you normally would see in any other race.
For those that aren't sports fans, we're talking with Daryl Wood right now for the Virginia Equine Alliance, where he works with a lot of the different tracks around the area and around this part of the country. For those that don't understand, what does it take to get your horse from the farm, maybe in Ocala, Florida, or wherever you raise this horse? What does it take to get that young horse from the farm to Churchill Downs?
Well, it's not even that. It's any race period in any state. I mean, the effort it takes once you breed a horse and the full drops to raising the horse to training the horse, just to get the horse to the racetrack is an accomplishment. Whether it's a $5,000 race or like the Kentucky Derby, there's just pride in that, and the amount of sweat equity and the agribusiness benefits. All that is a big deal. But when you strike gold, whether it be the right breeding, whether it be the right training methods, and get to that first Saturday in May, with a couple 100,000 people in attendance in the world watching, boy, I can only imagine what that's like.
What's the value of a horse to just get to the Derby, let alone one that actually wins the Kentucky Derby?
Breeding wise, huge. And that's one of the challenges our sport has, is that when you see a horse like an American Pharoah that won the Triple Crown, that wins the Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont and maybe a couple other higher profile races during the year, and maybe at the end of that 3-year-old season goes to the breeding shed, and we don't get to appreciate that superstar as a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old. So, there's lots of value. It's a big deal. And again, this just kicks off this 5-week run of the Triple Crown. The Belmont is the final leg, and the Preakness 2 weeks from Derby Day is the second leg.
Okay, so just like if I went to go watch the Richmond Flying Squirrels, I could see Brandon Crawford playing in the minor leagues, and then he gets up to the big leagues, becomes a World Series champion. We have ties right here from Central Virginia because of a unique relationship between the racetrack there in Colonial Downs and at Churchill Downs. We actually have one that qualified right here in Virginia that's in the race, correct?
We actually have two now. Due to an early scratch, we've got a horse named Acelli, who was sixth in the Virginia Derby, that's now in the field of the Kentucky Derby. But the horse that we're not, I'm not going to say rooting for, but if there was a hometown quote horse to look at, it would be a horse named Incredibolt, who won the Virginia Derby back on March 14th at Colonial Downs in front of a sellout crowd. His trainer, Riley Mott, the Mott family has had wild success in Virginia, in that Virginia Derby over the past 25 years or so. This is the fifth Derby the Mott family has won. Riley is the son. his father Bill won 3 Virginia Derbies when the race was held on grass back in the early 2000s. But yeah, this is a horse that was right here in New Kent, Virginia. Riley spent a few days here getting the horse used to the track itself in New Kent, and then got to the winner's circle. So if there's a horse to look at, and this horse, by the way, Rich, is 2 for 2 at Churchill Downs, 20-1 in the morning line. So we talked about value. Incredible just might be kind of that hunch bet that may provide value.
So give me, again, those that love horse racing, and I think I'm right there in the middle. Like, I've gone to the track. I would go to, when I lived out west, I would go to Hollywood Park quite a bit. I've been to the track a lot, and I've watched, and I think it's a fun time out there. For those that are kind of in the middle between me and those that know nothing about horse racing, give me a couple storylines and maybe some reasons why we could pick one horse or another, or a jockey, or maybe the story of some of the trainers this year.
Wow, when you've got a 20-horse field, every horse has got a story. That's what's hard about narrowing this field down to 3 horses to play a trifecta or 4 to play a superfecta. But Brad Cox, trainer, one of the elite trainers in the game, has got a couple horses here in the field that are just dynamite. Further Ado and Commandment, and his horse Commandment especially, has won 3 consecutive prep races, all at Gulfstream Park in Florida, including the Grade 1 Florida Derby. I think he's 6-1 early, but Brad Cox is definitely, with 2 horses in the race, and 2 of the favorites, I should say, really someone to look at. You mentioned the word Baffert earlier, and Bob Baffert, that's kind of the synonymous trainer everyone's got on Derby Day, the silver hair, the blue tinted sunglasses. He's got a couple horses in that are just not getting respect at all. He's got a litmus test at 50-1. Probably the better of the 2 horses he's got is called Potent at 20-1, but he's won 6 Kentucky Derbies, and his horses just aren't there. But boy, come Derby Day, I'm not sure if I want to ignore the name Bob Baffert in my betting.
No, absolutely. And when I worked out west, his brother would come on with me all the time, and Baffert again. People love him or hate him, but now he's back, and I'm never going to go against a Baffert horse. Okay, big question. Of the 3 races that make up the Triple Crown, there's a Kentucky Derby, there's the Preakness, and the Belmont. What's different between these races? Because this is the ultimate test of those horses. If you can pull off the Triple Crown, you become immortal, and it's really tough to do.
It's incredibly tough to do. In this day and age of just not pampering your horse, but safety and everything else, to have a 5-week sequence of races, of 3 of them. And again, mentioned that after the Derby, the Preakness wheels out 2 weeks later. Not many horses run anymore 2 weeks right after their most previous race. And then to do that, and that's the shortest of the 3, but then you've got a 3-week break until the 1.5 mile Belmont, which is the longest of the 3. And you're facing the keenest 3-year-old competition. It's not like you're catching a break and going against cheaper company at the track that you race at. You're on the road beating feet, and you're going against the best, and it's hard to do. And that's why when Secretariat won this in 1973, it was just years and years and years until the next Triple Crown winner happened. But the difference, to answer your question, is the distance of the race itself changes, with the Belmont, the final leg, being the longest of the 3.
And then once you get that first, you get to the second. Everybody wants to be the spoiler. And then when you get to the third, sometimes there's a fresh horse that hasn't run in the first 2, and he's out there to be a spoiler, and he's at full strength. Your horse is a little beat after racing so many races back to back, going all the way out, especially if they're under duress going down the backstretch. It is that ultimate test of endurance and speed, and the trainer getting them ready, and the jockey and the strategy. It is absolutely enthralling when we have an opportunity for a Triple Crown.
So much goes into it, and even in recent times, the Derby winner did not wheel back to the Preakness because of that. The trainer, the owner, they've got to look out for the long-term interest of the horse and the breeding opportunities that exist, and just the money involved. And I think the racing world just holds their breath that Derby winner, number 1, comes out safe and is healthy, and is going to train well in those next 2
1
weeks.
minute to
but
person.
boy, the racing world needs that Derby winner to go to the Preakness and go to the Belmont, to just drive racing to a national level, and hope to keep that interest that the Derby creates and keep that going to the next two legs, and even during the summer for some of the great races at Saratoga and Santa Anita and hopefully Colonial Downs this summer too.
Real quick, we got about a minute left. For those that want to feel the excitement, listen. TV does a great job, radio does a great job, but being there amongst the horse enthusiasts, if you can't make it out to Churchill Downs, places around here that they can go experience the excitement of the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, Rich, there's 4 different online betting companies you can legally wager on horse racing in Virginia. But again, that's more of an intimate experience at home. But any of the Rosie's Gaming Emporiums, especially the track in New Kent, they've got a big party tomorrow from 3 to 8. They've got trackside bands and food trucks. There's nothing like being amongst other people that have got a financial stake in the race when those gates open at 6:57 tomorrow and 20 horses charge out of the gate and just everyone's yelling, everyone's screaming, the goosebumps. And then for those next 2 minutes, you're just cheering wildly to try to get your horse to the finish line. Nothing like that. I'm based at Shenandoah Downs, a harness track up in Woodstock, Virginia. We're betting the race. The Virginia Gold Cup is going on tomorrow, big steeplechase race out in the plains. They're betting the race, but really in the Richmond area, Tidewater, even going up toward Dumfries in Northern Virginia, any Rosie's Emporium has a horse racing book in there. You can bet the race, stay it, enjoy it with many other fellow horse players.
You just made me think of my Pete Medhurst. Yeah. Just pop. He was the voice of Navy football. Passed away a couple of years ago. When you were talking about the hardest racing and all the rest of that, made me think him because he had been a track announcer there up in Baltimore for so long. Anyway, it's going to be an amazing time with the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. Big parties all along. People wearing the big floppy hats, and now you have the primer that you need to know for the Kentucky Derby. Hey, Daryl, we're going to tap you to come back. So when we talk about the 3 legs of the Triple Crown, if you don't mind helping us get ready for those as well.
Absolutely would enjoy it, Rich, and good luck tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much. Daryl Wood joining us from the Virginia Equine Alliance, our guest here on News Radio WRVA. Kentucky Derby. I've worked in Vegas for the Kentucky Derby, done some track parties, never been. One day I think I want to go. A couple buddies of mine said it was amazing, so we'll see. But there is 2 different versions of the Kentucky Derby. Those that are sitting up in the highfalutin seats and suits and ties, they sit down in the infield. It's a big old party, remind you of a country music show. So maybe I'll go to both sit in both sides. Anyway, today's program brought to you in part by Signature